Great news, high-res audio is coming to Apple Music this June. Bad news, if you bought a pair of these, there's a massive downside. Welcome back to Mark Ellis Reviews. Before I get into the video, a very important, exciting piece of news. I have finally launched a podcast. Every couple of weeks, myself and my co-host Rob, you'll like Rob by the way, will sit down and talk about the latest Apple news, rumours, tech news, all that kind of stuff. And we've made sure it's available on every major podcast network, so you can find it on Apple Podcasts, obviously, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, and TuneIn Radio, and it's called 8 or 16. So to find it, just search for 8 or 16 in your chosen podcast platform, or click the links in the description. Now this week, Apple issued a press release that confirmed that all Apple Music subscribers would get access to high-res CD quality audio from June. And this is coming at no extra cost. So if you've got an Apple Music subscription now, from June, we don't know when, but sometime in June, you will be getting access to the entire iTunes library in lossless audio. This update also includes tracks that support Dolby Atmos and also spatial audio. Interesting, fairly exciting, but for me it's more of a cinema movie type thing. I'm more of a traditional left and right stereo man when it comes to music, but it's pretty cool they're offering that. But for me, the real story is this lossless audio. And on the one hand, it's fantastic news because at the moment, if you want to get CD quality, the best quality audio from streamed music, you have to go with a completely different service to Apple Music. It's another subscription, more cost, not much fun. So to hear that Apple are introducing lossless, really high quality music streamed via Apple Music in June for no extra cost if you've already got an Apple Music subscription is actually great news. But there's one thing they've done with this which is a bit unfathomable, and it also, well, as I say, if you bought a pair of these, you're going to be fairly cheesed off. But I also think it hints at a potential product update for the AirPods Max and the AirPods Pro that I hadn't thought about previously. So what is lossless audio? Well, at the moment, if you are an Apple Music subscriber, whenever you listen to Apple Music on your iPhone, your iPad, your Mac, you're listening to compressed audio. And compressed audio has been around for a long, long time, ever since MP3s first hit the market. And it's all based around making music files as small as possible. And the way that's done, without getting too technical about it, because it's fairly dull, is the music itself is compressed. And to the untrained ear, you probably won't notice it, to be fair, particularly depending on what type of headphones you're using. But as soon as you A/B test compressed audio versus uncompressed lossless audio, it's night and day. I think a lot of people who like their sound, like music, have probably forgotten what CDs sound like because we just don't listen to them anymore. But CDs are a form of lossless audio. MP3s and the files that we listen to through services like Apple Music aren't. They are compressed. And the result of that is that they're not quite as dynamic as they are on CD or the actual original master that came from the studio. And that means you won't hear certain nuances. So things like lingering breaths from singers' voices, the tail off of ride cymbals, that initial transient kick of a kick drum. A lot of that stuff is just taken out because there's not a big enough file size to contain all of that information. Do we care? Most people don't. Most people put their headphones on, listen to their favourite band, favourite artist, and they don't think about those kind of things. But there's a huge section of the market, me included, that does care about that kind of stuff. Now at the moment, Apple uses a codec called AAC. Not bad, sounds alright, but when you compare it against the likes of Tidal and various other streaming services that have proper hi-fi lossless music, it sounds pretty poor. You lose all the character that came with the original recording, and you're not hearing certain things that the artist wants you to hear. Little touches here and there, things that are happening in the background, all that stuff just disappears. Now lossless audio, as I mentioned earlier, it's not exactly as the mastering engineer intended it, but it's really close. Now Apple's going to be launching two versions of this lossless codec. First one will be 16-bit audio at between 44.1 kHz and 48 kHz, and the second one is what they're calling high resolution lossless, and that will go all the way up to 24-bit at 192 kHz. I'm hitting you with lots of numbers there. It's quite boring if you don't have any interest in this stuff, but basically that means you're going to have one CD quality codec, and the next one is even better than that. So it's much, much closer to what came out of the studio originally. So overall, lossless audio on Apple Music is a great thing. I think it's overdue. I think they should have had it a long time ago, but this is Apple. They're not always first to the party with this sort of stuff. So in general, it's good news. Tidal, Amazon Music, Deezer, they're three platforms at the moment that you can sign up to today. They will give you the highest quality streaming music. We believe Spotify are working on one at the moment as well. But none of these services are cheap when you add all the stuff up that you need to make the most from them. And this is where Apple's quite smart. They know that. They want people to stay within their ecosystem, and by bolting on lossless audio, they're keeping that bunch of audiophiles and people who really, really care about their music within the entire Apple ecosystem. Because if you go over to Tidal, I've got a Tidal account, which is fantastic by the way, but in order to make the most of Tidal, I've had to buy a headphone amp and DAC, digital to analog converter, and a really nice pair of headphones, because without that, it's fairly pointless. All of these streaming services have the same library pretty much, but Apple adding this essentially for free to an Apple Music subscription is just very, very clever. Because if you're in the Apple ecosystem, that removes one of the key differentiators if you are an audiophile or someone who really takes care and an interest in the quality of the music they listen to. It leaves very little to differentiate between those services then. So you've basically got the interface. If you prefer, for example, the Spotify interface, you've got the playlists that are on offer. Personally, I still think Spotify beats Apple Music for that. The libraries, although there's a few differences, a few albums and tracks and artists who aren't on certain services, they're basically the same. By adding lossless, high quality audio to Apple Music, Apple are making it very difficult for people to leave their ecosystem. But I think Apple are even smarter and even more ruthless than that, because as I mentioned at the start of this video, there's one huge downside. If you're the sort of person who takes care of their music and loves sound and wants to hear the best possible audio, and you bought a pair of AirPods Max, and you've just heard that in June we're going to get lossless audio on Apple Music, there's one massive downside. Now, when the new audio formats arrive on Apple Music in June, they will work on the iPhone, the iPad, the Mac, and the Apple TV. But you won't be able to hear that high quality audio on any Apple headphones or the HomePod. The reason for that is actually quite straightforward, if not frustrating. Headphones like the AirPods Max, they use Bluetooth. It's a Bluetooth connection. Apple do some clever stuff with it, but at its heart, it is a Bluetooth connection. And Bluetooth, in layman's terms that even I can understand, basically can't support the codecs needed for high quality audio. Now, will it be available in a software update or a firmware update for these? Apple hasn't said anything along those lines. Personally, I don't think it will be. And if you're wondering, this horrendous £35 auxiliary cable that you can buy for the AirPods Max, this won't give you the high quality audio either. It basically means you've got to invest in high-end headphones, a DAC, an amp, all the stuff that I've got at the moment and people who like this kind of stuff will already have. But that doesn't help if you spent $549 on these to find out that you've got to buy more headphones that aren't Apple branded and other bits and pieces to hear Apple Music in all its glory from June. But what if Apple's up to something here? The need to invest in external third-party headphones and amps and DACs and things to hear this new Apple Music high-quality lossless streaming will not come as a surprise to people who already have that gear, and perhaps people like me who have Tidal subscriptions. They can just use that gear once Apple Music gets the lossless treatment in June. But they'll more likely be doing that on a Mac because it's the most obvious thing to connect a headphone amp to. Now, you can get, for your iPhone and for your iPad, you can get these little things, which are, this is a Dragonfly Black from Audio Quest, really good. I'm going to hopefully do a review of these fairly soon. They sent me these to try very kindly. And what it basically is a mini DAC/headphone amp that you can plug into your iPhone or your iPad and listen to high quality music, and it works really well. But this is quite a niche audience. But how's Apple going to get around this problem? How are we going to hear high quality lossless music on Apple Music with a pair of Apple AirPods Pro or AirPods Max? I think all of this hints at a potential second version of these. And I think the second version of the AirPods Max and also the AirPods Pro will include some kind of new wireless protocol. It won't be Bluetooth, it will be an in-house thing developed by Apple, and it will support high quality lossless audio streaming. As mentioned earlier, you can't do that with Bluetooth. So one, this would be a huge feather in the cap for Apple. Here's our brand new headphones. They've got this brand new superb wireless protocol that will transfer high quality music. You can't do that on anything else. And two, they could legitimately say that the version 2 of AirPods Max sound better than version 1, purely because they can support this high quality lossless format. I really think this is where Apple's headed. They've said nothing about this at all. There's not even any rumours about this. It's just, as soon as I heard this news, I thought either they've really shot themselves in the foot by launching Apple Music with lossless audio that you can't play on their own headphones, or they've got something up their sleeves. This would make sense. Their shareholders want constant product innovation. They won't just stop at version 1 of anything. There'll always be a, whatever it is, 2, 3, 4, 5. And with headphones, beyond changing the case and the design, etc., the big thing is sound. And one of the easiest ways, as far as Apple is concerned, to make these sound better is to make them compatible with lossless audio. Doing that wirelessly would be a genuine innovation. Regardless, I feel for you. If you've bought a pair of these and you're just disappointed that you won't be able to hear this lossless codec, I really feel for you. I think it's a bit rubbish on Apple's part, really. Like I say, I think I know why they're doing it. Time will tell if I'm right on that. That said, don't feel too sad about it. These are still a very, very good pair of headphones, and if you play Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal, anything pretty much on these, they sound superb. So actually the gains you get from hearing lossless music on these, you do have to be someone who really takes an interest in the quality of sound. You might even think, well, what's all the fuss about? But despite all of this, AirPods Max are still a really good buy. So hopefully this video hasn't put you off if you are considering buying them. If that is you, keep watching for a link to my full review. But in the meantime, thank you as always for watching, and I will catch you on the next video.